Addiction is only a manageable illness. There is no cure.
That's the scariest part right there, is no one thinks they have a problem with gambling.
In order to beat this, you have to do this at all costs. Because otherwise it's going to ruin your life.
Across New Mexico, education, prevention, and treatment services are available for those whose gambling goes too far. The Responsible Gaming Association of New Mexico is a collaboration of the state's tribal casinos and provides funding for treatment services for the small percentage of New Mexicans that develop problem and compulsive gambling addictions.
We often see in individuals who develop the disorder that their gambling behavior started very early in life, that it often runs in families.
My awareness about gambling started really early when I was a child. In Navajo tradition, there's always these traditional games that you have that involve some kind of wager. I didn't know what it was at the time. Nobody identified it as gambling. It was just a game.
When I was younger, I would play games, card games with my family. I'm a competing person, so I really liked gambling. What I would do is I would be the dealer and I would win. However, I was not compulsive until a little bit later on. A certain amount of things happened. My husband, within a 3-year time, my husband passed away. My grandson passed away. I lost my father and also my sister. That was a little bit traumatic. So instead of getting help for the grieving and get away from the pain, I thought the casino's fine.
My average gambling client usually is middle-aged and either recently divorced or has had a death. Sometimes empty nest syndrome, or they're in a marriage and they're very lonely in the relationship. And so then they end up kind of turning to gambling as a way to distract themselves from their reality. And it's recreational at first, and then it just really becomes all-consuming.
I was like a kid in a candy store because it was just the noise, the bells, everything, the slot machines, and that was my game of choice, was the slot machines.
Once you start borrowing money to gamble, that should be your first clue right there. If you can't leave that casino without wanting to borrow or actually going out to borrow money to gamble.
So gambling taps into the same part of the brain as drugs and alcohol. It taps into the reward center of the brain. So with gambling, they're experiencing releases of dopamine and serotonin and the feel-good chemicals, which makes it literally addicting.
And I would make up lies to my husband and spend money I didn't have. I would say I was going for milk or bread or whatever. And then, of course, 3 hours later, I'm still not home. You just start making up lies to cover yourself.
I graduated from college. I worked for the government. I'm a smart person, but gambling just took all of that away.
It begins a whole series of obsessional thinking around money, and then they begin borrowing, stealing, lying.
I remember having gone to the casino and lost everything that I had in my bank account, once again, at the poker tables. And walking out of there and just feeling absolutely just destitute. It's like, how am I gonna eat for the next week?
I cried. I just sat there and I couldn't believe what I had done. I had destroyed myself. I had gone into complete destruction for my life. Spent everything.
The gambling client comes to me in desperation. they have to get to that place of desperation before they even open the door to see me.
It's very difficult to step out of the shadow of addiction, to step out of denial and welcome healing, welcome recovery. When a person does do it, they almost immediately experience a flood of relief from the pressure that they were under in hiding.
No one can tell that you're a compulsive gambler because you aren't staggering or you aren't driving drunk or you aren't whatever. So no one would ever know that a person was a compulsive gambler.
A lot of things happen in my life, a lot of trauma. But that hardship is my motivation to get well. So what they do is they bring you through to become aware of that. Then they bring you through to become honest with yourself, and they bring you through to forgive yourself as well. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and they bring you to a healthy, sound mind.
Every client I treat is receiving treatment as a result of the funding that comes from the Responsible Gaming Association of New Mexico. And I literally see people's lives being saved.
Gamble responsibly. I mean, realize and recognize, learn to recognize the signs of becoming a compulsive gambler. Recognize them before they take you over.
That gambling, the addiction, the compulsion destroys everything. My head was not clear. I couldn't think right.
I have better tools to work with the day-to-day, whereas the tools in my arsenal were to drink and gamble.
There's still much to do and lots we can learn and much to accomplish, but there's no question that the efforts of the association have contributed to our being able to evolve our response to this population. If you're watching this right now and you're wondering if you have a problem with gambling, the neat thing about the resources that have been made available is that you can find out about that without ever even leaving your chair. You can get on the internet, you can go to the website, you can take a screening test, you can read about it. You can access any number of these resources without cost.
If you are dealing with addiction issues, if you're dealing with gambling issues, I want to let you know that there's hope. First of all, there's people, programs, resources that will allow you to share what you're dealing with, what you're going through.
I have been able to go back to work, find a job, buy a car. I have an apartment. I love my life, and I can honestly say I'm happier right now than I've ever been in my entire life, because for the first time in my life, I know where I'm at. I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
For information about problem gambling and treatment services, visit rganm.org.